Tun Abdul Razak's former press secretary Ahmad Mustapha Hassan. Thank you for joining us on BFM Spotlight for our Merdeka special. Now, there are many facets to Tun Abdul Razak, and you worked with him. What was he like on a personal level to you? Not as a boss, but as a friend.
Well, he's a very friendly chap, and he is very considerate in the sense that he takes good care of your welfare. He will ask about your children, about how are you doing, all that sort of thing. I mean, for a boss to do that, I mean, he is interested in your total welfare.
Was he a strict boss? Was he a tough boss to work for?
He's not a tough boss, but he expects you to do your work. That's the main thing.
Like all bosses.
Well, some bosses just want you to be a real slave, but not in the case of Tun Razak.
We know of Tunku and we know of Tun Razak, and they're always painted in a heroic light. But every man has his fault, has his flaws. What were some of Tun Razak's faults and flaws?
But Tun Razak doesn't like, for example, to waste time. For example, when he does any overseas trip, he wouldn't want to stay longer than a week, and most probably about 5 days. Then he would come back to Malaysia and do his work, because to him, work is much more important, and he says that work cannot be carried out overseas. Work needs to be done at home.
That was a time before the digital age of mobile phones and internet.
Yeah, but then in his case, this is a physical work. He's got to visit the rural area, see the condition of the people in the rural area, and how to help them. What are their needs? I mean, you cannot do that overseas.
And I've read a lot that he used to travel miles to visit all the kampongs in the rural areas, travel by rickety trucks and all
every
that.
means of transportation in the rural areas, he'll just use them in order to visit the various and in fact, I think he almost visited every kampong in the whole of the federal territory. Of the Federation of Malaya.
So he felt the need to personally meet his people.
Yes. He needs to see to find out really what are the problems that they face, so that he can formulate some policies.
Okay, and as his press sec, you must have travelled extensively with him in and out of the country. What anecdote would you say really encapsulates how he is as a person?
He listens to you. For example, like when we were in Jamaica, attending this program meeting, and he wanted to come back because he said that as far as he was concerned, that his job at the program was over. He had already delivered his speech. He had already more or less talked to all the various leaders. So he wanted to come back to Kuala Lumpur. But he told me, you stay back. I say, why should I stay back since you were going home? He said, no, Tunku Ahmad Ritauddin is still around. He might want to use your service for this. But, I was a bit unhappy to just stay there because he was not around. So I told him, well, honestly speaking, I said, I don't have any money. So he said, okay, if you don't have money, then he just took from his pocket, a 50 pound. Yeah, I think this will last. So, that's the type of man, his own money, he can give. No other boss would do that.
But I also read that he's very particular about how he uses the people's money, government money.
Oh, yes. That is very true. For example, that when we were in Paris, we were actually not in Paris. Before we made the official visit to France, he wanted to relax. So we went to the south of France. And at that time, the Malaysian ambassador in France was Tan Sri Jamal Latif. And he rented a big bungalow in the south of France with a swimming pool. And Tun Razak was very unhappy about it. He said, why are you wasting people's money with this big bungalow and the swimming pool? Who is going to swim? So I said, don't waste people's money. But then I think, on the other part of Tan Sri Jamal, he was thinking that this is the Prime Minister coming.
Right.
So better get
It
something
has to be fitting for a Prime Minister.
But
Right.
not to wanted to say, but they said this is a private thing. I mean, he's relaxing in, it's private, it's not official. So don't spend people's money. He's very, very prudent.
He kept his illness from almost everyone, even his family, up to the day he died. What was that day like for you? Did it catch you off guard? Did you know he was sick?
But definitely, I knew he was sick because when we were traveling in the rural areas also, he had already shown that can become tired very fast. Not like before. Before he could travel non-stop. I mean, after lunch he can just go off. But now, at that time, he was a bit tired. After lunch, he needed to take a nap. So we knew that he was not that well. But,
Do you remember the day that he passed away? Do you remember what that felt like?
Well, we were all lost, more or less. I mean, we didn't know what to do. I mean, all the private stuff. I mean, it's something that you know that you know that you're losing something that cannot be replaced. So very, very sad indeed. We were all at Sri Taman, just didn't know what to do.
Okay, and how would you sum up what Tun Razak fought for and what he stood for? How would you sum that up? What he hoped to achieve?
His main target was to uplift the poverty in the country, irrespective of race. But it so happened that the neglected lot during the colonial period was the Malays, because they were the fishermen, they were the paddy planters, and they were totally neglected. Because for example, there was no banking system in the rural area at that time, and these people were the victims of money lenders. I mean, sorry to say, I'm not trying to be the chettias. Not only the chettias, but also the landlords in the village. And these landlords, they also become what you call the loan sharks, in the sense that they use religious term in order to give loan. For example, like a farmer whose crop failed during that season will approach the landowner for some help. And of course, the landowner say, okay, this is jual salam. I mean, just the term is
handshake sale.
The term is very nice. But of course, if you can't pay back, then this what you call owner will acquire your land.
So Tun Razak's legacy to you is the fact that he wanted to eradicate poverty, to bring up the economic status of Malays.
Yeah.
Do you feel that he achieved it?
Well, he could have achieved it if he were to live. But then you need, I mean, an economic process will take a long time. And it needs to be supervised all the time. But he was not there to see this anymore.
Well, thank you for sharing your memories with us on BFM Spotlight.
Thank you.